Hey guys, so this is my first official book review video and I'm super excited. To start off, my name's Tawny. I am a college student. I have two dogs, one named Chloe and one named Hazel, and they're Chihuahuas, so don't hate because they're awesome. Not, yippy little things like everybody makes them out to be. I have a boyfriend of almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years on the 29th, so love you, babe. And I live with my mom and my brother and some of his friends. And I think that's all you need to know about me. It's all the important stuff. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoy this video, and I don't have any editing software or anything like that, so it may suck, but hopefully you won't. Hopefully you really like it. If you do, that's awesome. And if not, well, then I'm sorry. Go look somewhere else, I guess. I don't know. But we can go ahead and get started. Today I'm going to be reviewing, too much light. I am going to be reviewing Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick. She's a really great author. This series is the only one that I've read of her so far, so I can't really say that I know her writing super well. But from the series, I really enjoyed her I guess, dynamic. The way that she writes is very, very, I guess, geared towards teenagers. So this is a young adult novel, which most of my book reviews will probably be on young adult novels, just because that's the kind of genre that I like to read, so that's what you should expect from me. But back to the series. This book was fantastic. I literally probably read this book in about a week, and that was, sorry, my dog's chewing on something. We're down in Orlando for vacation with my boyfriend's parents, and that was a lot of fun. And this was a nice kind of leisure read to have down there on days that we didn't really have much to do. It's super fast paced. It picks right off from the start. I picked it up in the store and just absolutely fell in love with it from reading the prologue and the beginning, like, inside book cover thing. But this was actually the first book that I've ever read a prologue for. I don't usually, because I find them boring and tedious, but this one captured me right off from the start. The first name you see is Chauncey, and with a name like Chauncey, it has to be a good story. I really enjoyed it. This was the first time I've ever read a book that dealt with mythical things like fallen angels and Nephilim or Nephilim, or however you say it. I'm not quite sure. I've been told both ways, so if you guys know, put it down in the comment section. Let me know, because I honestly have no clue. But I love this book. It's so good. The whole series will end up ripping your heart out, and then it'll put it back together, and then it rips your heart out again. But it's really great. I absolutely loved all of the books, especially the first one. I would probably say the first one or the third one were my favorites. I'm not sure. I can't choose. They were all so good. But I went out on a limb and I read this book, and it's really great because all of the characters work really well together. Becca Fitzpatrick does an amazing job at having all the characters work together and have conflicting personalities but still loving each other, so they try to work through things. To start off, you get introduced to V and Nora, who are best friends and have been for basically ever. They're both 16, and you know how at that age the main thing kids focus on is, I don't know how to say it, sex and things like that. The book does a really good job at not going into great detail, but that's all V thinks about is boys and stuff like that. But I wouldn't say that it's necessarily inappropriate because they don't go into depth or anything like that. It's definitely not graphic. So that's one thing I liked about it. Because, I mean, it's the reality of today. You know, kids talk about it. So I thought it was really great of her, the way that she portrays it in here. It's not bad. It's not like they have sex or anything like that. It's just mentioned the idea of it, I guess. But V is very boy crazy and smitten. She's always focused on who's new, what's new, all that kind of stuff. And Nora's quite the opposite. She's very focused on her schoolwork. She wants to do well and succeed, and she gets a boyfriend that's great, but it's not something that she's going to drag herself down about. And then she comes across Patch. So Patch is the local bad boy. He's new to the school, and everyone knows that something's off about him, and Nora can't put her finger on it, and I think that's one of the things that bugs her most about him. But he's also perceived as very cocky and full of himself, which Nora also can't stand. And Nora and V are in biology class, because, you know, everything has to happen in biology class. And they end up getting separated, and Nora and Patch end up becoming lab partners. And at first, Nora is super upset about it. She can't stand it, and she tries to get things changed, and the professor, teacher / coach dude won't do it. So he forces them to stay together, and that's kind of where the whole story takes flight. That's when Nora and Patch kind of start getting into each other and knowing things about each other and stuff like that. Major plots start unveiling, and it's really great. There are definitely times in this book where you just want to slap Nora. Different times throughout the entire series, actually, that you just want to smack her and tell her, like, yell at her, "What are you doing? This is stupid. Just do this, or do this." And she doesn't do it, and then you're just completely disappointed in her, because you thought that she would have totally done something different than what she does. And then there are other times where you're like, "That's right, Nora, you go. You show him who's boss." So it's very conflicting, and it can be super frustrating, but just make it through it, because it's really worth it. And Patch, it's like I said, he's the bad boy, so at times you're like, oh, is he really good at heart? You know, is he just truly bad? What's going on with this kid? Because you never really find out, at least not in the first book. And it crushes your heart, because you just want to know. You just want to know if he's good or if he's bad. And Fitzpatrick really draws that out. And amidst all of the craziness that happens in this book, Nora and V are introduced to two boys. One named Elliot, and the other one's name I can't remember. I should be able to remember it, because he's a super big character. And I'm not going to tell you guys why, because that's a huge plot in the story. But I think his name begins with a J. I'm not sure. I don't know. That's gonna bother me now. Anyways, they meet them, and Elliot seems really sweet, and he sounds cute and everything, but at the same time, it's kind of like, what's going on with you, dude? And Nora finds some stuff out, and it's this big whole fiasco, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And then things happen, and things unfold, and it's really great, and the ending's awesome. So the first book, awesome. A++ times 1,000. This book was fantastic. And then you get to the second book, which is called Crescendo. And I'm just going to make a little side note. It's not hardback. I have all the other books in hardback except for this one. So I'm going to be on a mission to find a cheap hardback book of Crescendo, because I really like to have all of either paperback or all hardback. I really prefer hardback, but they didn't have it at Chamberlain's. So I have the paperback, but that's okay. It was still a great book. You know, wasn't one of my favorites out of the series. Like I said, I really like the first and the third, but it was still good. Becca Fitzpatrick seems to enjoy, or I guess just likes, retelling what happened in the previous book, in the book that you're reading. So that kind of bothered me. I don't like having to reread what I, in this case, literally had just already read. But I guess it makes sense if the books came out years apart, or if she wanted people that hadn't read the previous books to be able to pick up any book in the series and know what had happened. I don't know. That was not something that I cared for too much. However, I don't know if she's like that in her other books, because I haven't read any of her other works. But one plus is the artwork on the book cover is fantastic for all of them. They all perfectly depict what's inside the book. You know, as you can tell in this one, there's the red feather, and you'll understand what that means further in the story. I'm not going to tell you guys. But the second book is really awesome. You know, I don't really know how else to describe it. It's just great. The plot thickens between Nora and Patch due to other certain main characters, and it's really nice to see them kind of come together and battle things together and stuff like that. Nora has an old friend come into town, and he kind of, I guess, pushes his way back into her life, and, you know, you decide if you think he's bad or good. I'm not going to create a bias for you. I know what I think of him, so you kind of make your own idea about that. The third book in the series is Silence, and this book was amazing. I just loved it. This was another quick read for me, because everything just progresses so quickly, and then you're like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? No, that can't happen. Or, yes, I've been waiting for this. And it just, the whole series, the whole time, it's back and forth, and it's wonderful. It really is wonderful. I just loved it. So I would recommend the third book also. But please, 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 please read all the books in order. Although I can't really talk, because in the fourth book, which is final/finale, I don't really know how it's said, because I've heard it both ways. So however you want to say it, that's how you should say it. And this book was also good. However, I felt as if it were very drawn out. So I kind of got halfway through and then decided to read the last page. I know it's a huge no-no in the book reading community, but I couldn't resist. I just had to know if they ended up together or not. And then I ended up not finishing the rest of the book, because I already knew what happened. And I knew that's what was going to happen if I did that, but I did it anyways. So I feel like I betrayed the series. But, you know, it was still a great series. The fourth book was good from what I read, but like I said, drawn out. You kind of get tired of all the crap happening between Patch and Nora and everything, so at least I did. But it's a great series. I would definitely recommend reading it, and I'm sorry I didn't spend more time on the other books, but the main gist of everything really just happened in the first book. That's the foundation for everything. So, and then everything else is just extra goodies. It's extra stuff you get to know about their awesome fake lives. But the fourth book is a great conclusion to the series. I would definitely recommend it. It's great for young adults. They're really quick reads. You know, it's nothing too hard. But I would recommend them. Go to your local bookstore. I would, you know, say not Books a Million or Barnes and Noble, just basically because those are so expensive. I prefer to spend $10 rather than $20. And that's kind of the deal for me with Chamberlain's in my hometown. So I would recommend doing that. Plus, it supports a local store in your neighborhood, which is great. Other than that, that's all I have to say about Patch and Nora. It's great. Read it. Love it. I'm reading Mortal Instruments Stay Bones right now, so I will let you guys know about that after I finish it. And other than that, that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Bye.